Welcome to today's Explainer. Buckle up because we are diving into some seriously mind-bending source material today to deconstruct reality itself. I mean it. By the time we wrap this up, cutting-edge, peer-reviewed science is going to have you profoundly questioning the very nature of your own existence.
So, quick question for you. Are you hallucinating right now? Your immediate instinct is probably to say, no, of course not. I'm awake. I'm totally alert. But let's break the fourth wall for a second. The reality is your brain, the actual organ doing all the experiencing, is locked away in a pitch black, absolutely silent vault of bone. It has never seen a single ray of light. It has never heard a single sound. It relies completely on a few thin electrical cables, your sensory organs, to stream data into that darkness. There's no actual red or blue, no music, no solid ground inside your skull. There are literally just electrical signals.
Okay, let's dive into this with neuroscientist Anil Seth, who totally flips our standard understanding on its head. For a long time, we kind of just thought the brain was like a camera, passively recording the outside world. But Seth points out that your experience is actually an inside-out process. It's a controlled hallucination. Think about color for a second. When you see a red car, you just naturally assume redness is a physical property of that car, but it actually isn't. Red is just your brain's absolute best guess about a certain frequency of electromagnetic radiation. And radiation, it has no intrinsic color at all. Your brain isn't showing you the objective truth, it's just adjusting incoming data to fit its expectations, telling you a really useful story to help you survive. To really wrap our heads around this, we need to establish our philosophical baseline here. We live in what's called the phenomenon, the world as it appears to us, full of colors, shapes, and the passing of time. But hidden right behind the curtain is the noumenon, the true, completely inaccessible reality. Psychologist Donald Hoffman proposed this incredible idea called the user interface theory. He argues that evolution didn't shape our senses to show us the noumenon. It shaped them purely for survival. Think of a blue folder icon on your computer screen. That folder isn't the actual physical reality of the computer, right? It's not silicon or circuits or ones and zeros. It's just a simplified interactive map. Well, your perception of space and time is exactly the same thing. It's a biological user interface designed to hide a truth that's just way too complex for us to process.
Now, if that doesn't completely pull the rug out from under you, let's talk about the physical matter you think surrounds you. 99.9%. That is the amount of empty space inside an atom. The physical solidity of the chair you're sitting in right now, it's a phantom. Actually, if you really think about it, sitting down might feel a lot less relaxing after I tell you this. You have never actually touched anything in your entire life. What you feel as solid ground is simply the electromagnetic repulsion between the atoms in your shoes and the atoms in the floor. It's a microscopic gap that literally never closes. You are essentially a ghost, inhabiting a vacuum, utterly convinced of your own solidity.
And it gets even wilder. When we zoom in even closer, down to the fundamental quantum level, reality becomes incredibly slippery. In the famous Double Slit Experiment, subatomic particles like electrons exist in a superposition, basically a cloudy haze of pure possibilities, until they are actually observed. It's only the act of measurement that forces the universe to lock into a single state. The brilliant physicist John Wheeler even suggested that the universe might be absolutely nothing without observership. Combine that with Bell's theorem, which mathematically hints that objective reality might not even exist independently of the observer, and we are left with this jaw-dropping implication. In the quantum world, the moon might not actually be there when no one is looking.
Now, this quantum weirdness perfectly echoes a really ancient, kind of terrifying philosophical idea called solipsism. It's the concept that only your own mind is certain to exist. René Descartes famously wrestled with this using his evil demon thought experiment. He wondered if an all-powerful being was just feeding his mind a total illusion, which led him to his only absolute certainty. I think, therefore I am. But what if modern science is actually backing up Descartes' paranoia here? I mean, if your brain constructs the world, what happens when we look at the pure statistics of constructed simulated realities?
Well, this leads us directly to the simulation hypothesis and an even stranger concept, the Boltzmann brain. Philosopher Nick Bostrom points out that if advanced civilizations ever create conscious simulations, those simulated minds would vastly outnumber biological ones. That makes it highly probable that you are currently just a line of code. But physics goes a step further. According to the strict, cold, hard laws of thermodynamics, it is statistically far more likely for a single, self-aware brain to spontaneously fluctuate into existence out of the quantum vacuum, complete with totally false memories of a life, a childhood, and an entire universe, than it is for a complex 13.8 billion-year-old cosmos to actually evolve. Think about that. You could have literally popped into existence 1 second ago, and you might vanish a second from now. All right, let's shift our scale from the microscopic depths of the mind way out into the macroscopic cosmos to see how all this builds together. If reality is just a construction of data, a projection, what happens to the data of the universe? This is exactly the question Stephen Hawking asked, igniting what's known as the information paradox. See, when a black hole swallows matter, it eventually evaporates through something called Hawking radiation. But quantum mechanics dictates that information cannot be created or destroyed. It's a strict rule called unitarity. So if the black hole vanishes, where does all the information about the stuff it swallowed actually go?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how simple a black hole actually is when we look at it through classical general relativity. It is literally the simplest object in physics. Once it settles into equilibrium, it only has 3 parameters: mass, angular momentum, and electric charge. That's it. It acts as the ultimate cosmic prison. When a star or an entire planet falls in, all of its unique, complex properties seem to be completely lost to the outside universe, replaced by just these 3 basic numbers. It swallows a monumental amount of information.
The crucial breakthrough to solving this paradox came from Jacob Bekenstein and Stephen Hawking. And don't worry, you don't need to be a mathematician to grasp the sheer beauty of their formula here. The key takeaway is that the entropy, or the information content, of a black hole is proportional to its 2-dimensional surface area, not its 3-dimensional volume. The physicist Gerard T. Hooft realized that for an outside observer, the information of everything that fell into the black hole isn't lost in the 3D void at all. It's perfectly encoded right onto the 2D surface of the black hole.
And just to ground this in rigorous science and reassure you we haven't totally gone off the deep end into sci-fi, astrophysicist Jean-Pierre Luminat's work on the holographic universe shows this is very real. These concepts are debated and studied at the absolute highest levels of quantum gravity and string theory research. Physicists are actively trying to prove that the 3-dimensional volume of a black hole is mathematically equivalent to a 2-dimensional hologram painted on its surface. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute pinnacle of this research: Juan Moldacina's 1997 breakthrough, known as the ADS/CFT correspondence. Moldacina mathematically proved that in a specific model, a 5-dimensional universe containing a black hole and gravity is strictly exactly equivalent to a flat 4-dimensional boundary that has no gravity at all. The complex, curved, gravitational reality on the inside is entirely encoded by the simpler, flat physics happening on its border. Gravity, and maybe even space itself, might just be emergent properties of a lower dimensional reality.
So the crucial point is how this leads us to the holographic principle, which was extensively developed by Leonard Susskind. It basically takes the physics of black holes and asks, what if this applies to the whole universe? It suggests that the 3D space we feel so incredibly confident moving through might be a profound illusion. All the physics, all the matter, you, me, the stars out there, it might all be completely described by a theory operating on a distant, lower dimensional border. Imagine that. Our entire reality could be encoded like a massive cosmic hologram.
It is absolutely wild how these seemingly disparate fields perfectly align across human history. Thousands of years ago, Plato gave us the allegory of the cave, prisoners chained in darkness, genuinely believing the shadows on the wall were the entirety of reality. Fast forward to today, and psychiatrists are documenting the Truman Show delusion, where patients genuinely perceive their world as a totally artificial set. And now, at the absolute bleeding edge of theoretical physics, string theory presents the holographic universe, the mind-blowing mathematical possibility that our 3-dimensional world is literally a projection from a boundary we can't even see. Philosophy, psychology, and quantum astrophysics are all pointing toward the exact same terrifying, beautiful truth.
We live our entire lives in the phenomenon, this vibrant world of color, solidity, and space. But behind it all lies the noumenon. If reality is an illusion, it is a brilliant masterpiece painted in the absolute dark by your brain to keep you safe and projected from a quantum boundary we can barely even begin to comprehend. The light you see isn't light, the floor you feel isn't solid, and the space you occupy right now might be nothing more than a holographic mirage. So as you look away from this and head back into your daily life, I want to leave you with this thought. The shadows are all we have, but the shadows are not the wall. What lies beyond the wall you've built inside your own mind?